Hello everybody and welcome back to an ESO Guides video with me, Sherman. Today we're going to be talking about craft skills and world skills. Now if you guys caught my last video where I talked about the guild skills, I hope you did. This one's going to be covering craft skills and then what they can do for you, and mainly their passive effects you can get from, and then the world skills. Now craft skills don't offer a lot of beneficial effects to your character because they're just simplified things, but there is certain things in them that do become of use. So crafting potions allows you to drink, gives you a way of making potions so you can get those greater effects from the potions. But it also gives you what's called the medicinal use. And what this does is when using potions, resulting effects last 30% longer. Now the reason why this is so important is because that means you get a longer effect from drinking a potion. So if it has like something that gives you magical recovery or health recovery or increased stamina recovery, that kind of thing, it's going to give you a longer lasting effect. If it's a potion that gives you major sorcery or major brutality, it's going to give you a longer lasting effect. So it's really important to get these kind of things, or to get this one, so you can get those passives. I personally do not have any of these passives yet, but I do plan on getting them on all my characters. The next one that you get is from cooking. Now the rest of these do have things that you can get beneficially, like being able to blacksmith allows you to craft any armor and weapons. And the higher you get in the rank, the better you can craft. But there's nothing in here that gives you any major things. I mean, minor hireling is a really good one, because a minor hireling will go out and gather resources, and newly delivery from your hireling can be claimed the next time you log in from zone or change zones. This second or third rank in it. So you get that thing where they'll go out and they'll harvest every day so many resources for you and leave them in the mail. That's one benefit. Clothers, they get the outfitter hireling, which goes out and mines resources for you and sends it to you in the mail. These passive ones like this are really great, but it's more or less you want the rest of these so you can craft better items. Next one, of course, is enchanting. And enchanting is one, if you do not raise this one, these things can get expensive. Glyphs get really expensive by the player base. But basically, this allows you to craft better runes once you get higher, but you get the hireling passive to where you can get them to go out and get them for you, so you don't have to go farm them yourself as often. Very beneficial. Now, provisioning is the one that is really good for you, because you get to craft food and stuff, but you also get Carnosaur and you get Chef. Now both of these add this one adds 20 minutes of duration to any consumed drink, and I thought they're Gourmand. Gourmand adds 20 minutes to the duration of any food. So if you eat food that lasts an hour, it's going to last an hour and 20 minutes. If you eat any food that takes 2 hours, it's going to be 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now I do have 1 point in command myself, or Gourmand, and I'm really happy for that because it gives me 5 minutes additional time, and I want to get it up to that 20-minute mark. So these are super beneficial things that you can get. And again, with woodworking, you can get the miner to go out and gather the stuff, and this allows you to craft wood weapons like bows, staves, and shields. So clothing allows you to craft anything that's cloth or leather. Blacksmithing, any kind of metal-based stuff like heavy armor or weapons. So having these things is really beneficial. They allow you to craft stuff that gives you better stuff, and it's not hard to get your crafting levels up as long as you're deconstructing somebody else's stuff. You can level this really fast. Now remember, in the Undaunted, or in the champion tree, I showed you guys that thing called inspiration. Well, the more inspiration you have, the faster you're going to gain experience in these. So getting up to CP 160 and unlocking that will allow you to have that on every character if you want, but you have to put those champion points in there for every character to get that. Now, another thing about champion points before we get too far, champion points are carried across all your characters on the account. So no matter what, if you unlock 100 with one character, all your characters will have 100 champion points to use. But you can only have 561 right now, and 600 and something like that here soon. So a max of 600 champion points with next month's update. On to world skills. Now world skills are really kind of a weird thing, because you get soul magic, werewolf, vampire, and ledgerman. Ledgerman is all about chest farming and stuff, just so you know. But we're going to start with soul magic. Now soul magic does have an ultimate, and that is Soul Strike. This is one of the most powerful, and I'm not kidding you, most powerful magic damage abilities in the game. Like, anyone can tell me that, oh, the Meteor does better. No, this is 10 times more powerful than Meteor. Burn an enemy from the inside with Soul Fire, dealing X magic damage over 2.8 seconds and restoring or reducing their movement speed by 70%. Now it has 2 morphs, increases the channel duration by 1 second, so that damage over time actually lasts a second longer, but it does do one of the most damaging things ever. The next one, though, is the one I like, Shattered Soul. If a target is killed, it explodes and damages nearby enemies. This damage is going to be like 27,000 or higher, and this damage is going to be even greater. So these are some really powerful abilities that you can get. Now, this is how you get Soul Trap. Soul Trap is a free ability everyone gets at level 1. And what it does is, when you use it on an enemy, you do so much magic damage to the target and one other nearby enemy every 10 seconds. And then when they die, you fill a soul gem. Now, it has 2 morphs, Soul Siphoning or Soul Splitting Trap and Consuming Trap. Now, Soul Spitting Trap affects an additional target. So you can hit 2 targets with it, and it affects both of them with the soul stone thing, so you can steal both of their souls if you can kill them in the amount of time. Consuming Trap gives you 7% of your health, magic, and stamina back if the enemy dies. Now, this one's not one these 2 skills are things I would not necessarily run all the time on my character, but I do have them unlocked, so I can, and I run Consuming Trap if I need to go farm soul stones. Because if I'm running low, I go get them with this. Next up is the morphs, or the passives, and the passives are really good. While when soul ability is slotted, if health drops below 20%, your soul explodes, dealing basically a lot of magic damage to nearby enemies, and this effect can trigger once every 2 minutes. It's a really powerful ability, but it's not something I'd recommend having, because your health should never drop to 20% in the first place. Next up is Soul Summons. Now this is, I unlock both these passives on my characters all the time, on all my characters, because it allows you to revive once an hour without spending a soul gem. This is really great in dungeons, because if you die in a dungeon and you know nobody reses you and you have to res yourself, you don't have to spend a soul gem to do it. So it's a really beneficial thing. Soul Lock, on the other hand, is weapons kills have a 10% chance to automatically fill a soul gem. So if you have any empty soul gems in your bag and you kill an enemy, you have a 10% chance to fill a soul gem. And I will tell you, this fills soul gems like crazy. And that's it for soul magic. Next is Werewolf Skills. Now, Werewolf Skills, I don't honestly know much about werewolf or vampire skills, but I do know that there's a lot of different things about them that are really cool from what I'm to understand. Now, first off is Werewolf Transformation. This one does cost a lot of ultimate at initial, but it transforms you into a beast, fearing up to 3 nearby enemies for 4 seconds. While transform, your light attacks cause enemies to bleed for X physical damage over 8 seconds, and your physical and spell resistance is increased by 9,966. While slotted, your stamina recovery is increased by 15%. So this gives you that 15% stamina recovery, and then whenever you transform into a werewolf, you get that extra, physical and spell resistance by that ungodly amount. But it has two morphs. Pack Leader also summons 2 wolf companions to fight by your side. This is a really cool one, but the thing I don't like about werewolves and stuff and vampires is once you go into that form, you have to do certain things to keep it going, and it seems really just to me. Now, a lot of people like that. Hey, that's cool. That's your choice. I think that they're fantastic things. I love traveling with people that play these because it's really cool to see them transform into a werewolf and just go ballistic on something. And then the next morph is Werewolf Berserker, which increases the damage of your light attacks. So your light attacks are increased by 40% additional damage. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's more than pretty cool. That's pretty insane. Next up is Pounce. Pounce an enemy with a Primal Fury, dealing X physical damage and stunning them, and stun them if they are off balance. So you get that. And then you get two morphs. The first morph is deals damage to all enemies in an area of effect. That's a pretty cool one. And then Feral Pounce. Each use increases your time in werewolf form. A lot of people probably run that one, it was my guess. Next, you get Hyacines or Hiracine's Bounty. Invoke the Huntsman Blessing to heal yourself for X amount. And then there's two morphs, Hiracine's Rage and Hiracine's Fortitude. Increases weapon damage of caster by 10% for 17 seconds, and then adds a heal over time effect. It's not a bad deal. I like those two. Next is Roar. Roar with Bloodlust to terrify up to 3 nearby enemies, affecting them to be with fear and setting them off balance for 4.3 seconds. Killing a target leaves nearby allies off, or nearby... Killing feared targets leaves their nearby allies off balance or disorientated. And then, of course, Rousing Roar increases the weapon damage of nearby allies, grants everyone major brutality for 20% for 4 seconds. That's pretty cool. Then we get Piercing Howl. Crush an enemy with a deafening howl, dealing X physical damage and knocking them down for 3 seconds. Has 2 morphs, Howl of Despair and Howl of Agony. Add Feeding Frenzy synergy with which will increase our allies' basic attacks. So it increases your allies' basic damage, weapon or basic damage from light and heavy attacks by 10%. And then Howl of Agony, deal increased damage to enemies that are currently feared. So that's a pretty cool deal there. Sorry guys, I don't have a werewolf, so I'm learning new stuff as I talk about it. Infectious Claws, maul an enemy in front of you with tainted claws, dealing X physical damage and additional disease damage over 10 seconds. Ooh, sounds pretty good. Claw of Anguish is 1 morph, Claw of Life is the other. Target effects receive less healing. Ooh, does a major defile, look at that. Oh, reducing their healing on them by 40% for the effects duration. Holy cow, so it lasts for 10 seconds at 40%. Can I get a werewolf go with me into Direfrost Keep, please? Because I want to kill that witch on hard mode, and I want to whoop her butt. That 40% is going to be a super amazing thing. Claws of Life. Gain a heal over time based on damage done. Now that's pretty cool, too, for 50% of the damage done. Now we go into their passive abilities. The first one increases heavy attack stamina return by 100%. So if you guys want some stamina, be a werewolf. Devour, which is a passive, allows you to devour a corpse to increase the duration of your werewolf's transformation by 12 seconds. Blood Rage increases the time in werewolf form by 3 seconds every time you take damage. This effect can occur once every 3 seconds, so pretty much you can keep it constantly effective as long as you're taking damage. Blood Moon allows players to turn another player into a werewolf once every 7 days by returning to the werewolf ritual site. Players affected by vampirism cannot be turned. Good to know. Savage Strength is another passive, increases weapon damage by 18%. Holy cow. Call of the Pack reduces the cost of remaining in werewolf form by 20% for each transformed werewolf in your group, including yourself, up to a maximum 80%. So it makes your duration in werewolf form last 80% longer, or 20% by yourself. How long do you last in werewolf form anyways? 4 seconds, so 20 seconds? Holy cow. That's insane. That's pretty crazy. You guys, I'm learning, like I said, new stuff every day, and this is teaching me some new stuff. Now let's get into the vampire skills. Vampire skills, sound pretty cool, but I am a huge fan of Dracula. You know, grew up watching Dracula, studying Dracula, reading about Vlad Dracul, you know, studying vampirism. If you guys don't know what vampirism is, it's people who have a mental condition that believe that they need blood. There's also a thing called hemophilia something or other. It's a thing where the people are actually addicted to blood. And it's something in their own DNA and structure that makes them crave blood. I don't know. It's a hemophiliac or something like that. But it's just a thing, and it's a psychological thing. Yes, I did do a lot of research. This is stuff growing up. I took psychology in high school, and that's one of the things I wrote a research paper on was vampirism. So I do know a lot about it. Bat Swarm is their ultimate. Now their ultimate allows them to darken the sky with a cloud of bats, dealing X magic damage to nearby enemies. every 1 second. The first morph is Clouding Swarm, which also grants invisibility, and then Devouring Swarm, which gain life for each target hit. That's pretty cool. Next, you get Drain Essence. Consume an enemy's life force, dealing X magic damage and restoring 20% of your missing health for every 1 second for 3 seconds. When you activate the Drain, the enemy is stunned for 3 seconds. That's pretty cool. And then you get 2 morphs. You get Invigorating Drain and then Accelerating Dread. Invigorating Drain, players recover 5 ultimate every 1 second. That's pretty powerful, guys. Next, you get Accelerating Drain, which grants Major Expedition, increasing movement speed by 10% for 17 to 20 seconds. Okay. Mist Form. Dissolve into dark mist, reducing the damage taken by 75% for 4 seconds. Also removes and grants you invulnerability to all crowd control and immobilization effects while active, but you cannot be healed when your magic or recovery is disabled. Ooh, that's bad. But it sounds pretty cool. Next, you get 2 morphs, Elusive Mist and Baleful Mist. Also grants Major Expedition, increasing your movement speed, and then the other one also deals damage to nearby enemies. So you do a damage over time, or a damage to nearby enemies when you transform. That's pretty cool as well. Now we're going to get into the passives. It doesn't seem like they have as many active abilities as the Werewolf does, but that's okay. Next, the passives, which is Savage Feeding. After feeding on your target is off balance and stunned for 4 seconds. Supernatural Recovery increases magic and stamina recovery by 10%. Blood Ritual allows a player to turn another player into a vampire once every 7 days by returning to the vampire ritual site. Players affected by lycanthropy cannot be turned. That's cool. Next is Undeath. This sounds good. While you have a vampire stage, you got to be stage 3 or higher. Reduces damage dealt to you when you fall below 50% health and increases lower health increases the effect up to 30%, 33%. Oh. So the lower your health, the greater damage reduction you get. Cool. Unnatural Resistance. The passive reduces severity of health recovery determined in Vampirism Stage 2 through 4. And then you get Stalker. While you have Vampire Stage 4, decreases movement speed penalty while crouched and decreases the time it takes to crouch by 50% during the night. So it allows you to feed better at night. That's pretty cool. Because you go in a crouch, it allows you to stealth and then sneak up on people and feed on them. That's a pretty cool thing. I didn't know these things about vampirism or werewolf. I might have to actually think about making one. And last but not least is Ledgerman. Like I said, this doesn't give you a lot of passives that do a lot of things, but it does reduce the stamina cost of sneaking. And Light Fingers increases the chance of successfully pickpocketing a person by 50%. Trafficker involves increases the number of Finside interactions you can have each day by 180%. And then Locksmith, this is one I like. You know what forcing the lock is. It's when you first go up to a chest and you go to pop it, you get this thing called where it says force lock, press this button. Well, it basically just auto lock picks for you. And you have a low chance of doing it. Well, this gives you a 70% chance to force the lock yourself, which is pretty good. The kickback is one I like. It reduces bounties you're willing to pay to guards and fences by 40%. And that is the world skills and the crafting skills. Now I know that I've covered a lot of stuff in this guide so far, and we haven't gotten to the final one, which is the alliance skills. But that one is coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. In fact, all this stuff should be out all at the. I'm going to be releasing it all at the same time, so you guys should get it all at the same time. But that one will be the last video I made, and keep your eyes open for that. But thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It's down here in the bottom right. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can hit that subscribe button that's right over here, right underneath where it says subscribe right here. And then you guys can be subscribed to me and see when I post new videos and stuff. But unfortunately, guys, that's it for now. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and I will see you all later. Bye.